I'm Mike. I got my line mate Matt with me, and today we're going to go over the Kings. We're going to go over the Vegas loss, and we're going to go over some Hawk talk and some a little bit of NHL news. But the Blackhawks defeated the Kings 4-3 in a shootout, which was really nice to see because Delia had a good game. A lot of times when he comes in from his first game in a long time, he doesn't do very well. Actually, typically he gives up 5 goals in that game. He only gave up 3 in this one, which is great. He's from Los Angeles, isn't he, Matt?
Yeah, yep. He's from California, I think, that area.
Right. Yeah,
and,
it was like a homecoming game.
They made a big deal about it. Yeah, they made a big deal about that, and he played good, and it was good to see him get a win. Right.
Kane and Cat and Lafferty, which I'm glad to see him. He got a goal in that game, which is really great to see. Man, that guy's. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's been working his way up the lineup. Started as a 4th liner, and then made his way to the third line, and he's been kind of going back and forth between that 3rd and 2nd line, to be honest with you. And I think he started Saturday. But Cat scored the game winner, which was great goal.
I'm sorry to cut you off. You know who he reminds me of right now? Hagel. The way he's playing, Lafferty. I feel like he is just full speed every shift. He's getting some, great moves on these players. He's not finishing that much, but it was good to see him get rewarded because he was, the last 3 games, man, he has probably been one of the best Hawks out there. And, maybe that's why they felt comfortable letting Hagel go.
He's been playing well, to be honest with you, all season. When he came in, I had no idea who he was. And from that first game, he just had a motor on him. Like Hagel. I think he's bigger than Hagel, though.
He is, but the way he plays at full speed, it reminds me of Hagel's game.
Right.
And it's good to see because you lose a guy, and it's like, how do you replace a guy like that? But this guy's kind of showing some shades of him.
Yeah, definitely. I like what I'm seeing, and to be honest with you, I'm really happy to see Delia kind of shake off what he's had going on prior at the beginning of the season and last year, really not being able to come up to that top NHL level and make a difference and have a good game. So moving on to the Hawks versus Vegas. First 2 periods of the Hawks were playing good hockey. Lankinen played good, and it seemed like they wanted to give the game up a bit in the 3rd period. The Kings had, 3 goals in about 2 minutes and 59 seconds. It was 3-0 to start the 3rd period. I think that the Hawks should have had that game out. They should have the game wrapped up. Lankinen had a couple soft goals. One of them he couldn't help. It went off of Doc's knee, and then in traffic, he couldn't even see it. But he had a couple goals go right over his glove hand.
Yeah, the first one you cannot give up a goal from the top of the circle. Is pretty much on the boards. That guy just sniped him, and you got to stop those as a goalie. You need to challenge the shooters, and that's a save that you need to make. And pretty much that soft goal gave the Knights life. They gave them life, and they kept, coming at the Hawks, and Lankinen did make some decent saves, but I thought the OT winner was a bit soft, in my opinion, too. He kind of got lost. He lost a stick, and believe it or not, when a goalie loses a stick, you kind of lose your balance. You kind of use the stick almost to, you're not leaning on it, but where you can move easy, and it's weird to explain, but he just felt like it wasn't right for him. The puck was almost like a floater changeup type of game-winning goal, and of course it had to be that Dandinoff or whatever his name is, and that's the guy that they were trying to trade at the deadline, and they got voided by the NHL because of a trade clause team list or whatever. It wasn't right, and since he's been back, he's been tearing it up for Vegas, almost like an in-your-face type of thing. That's what you get when you try to get rid of me. I'm going to turn it up now.
So he has a clause in his contract of a no-trade list on there?
So, yeah, he has a no-trade, like the 10-team thing. You know how most, the good players get that? I don't know how the hell he got that, but he did.
Right.
And I guess the Ducks weren't on there, and something with the paperwork wasn't right, so they had to void it, and it's like, hey, we're sorry we traded you, but we love to have you back. And since he's come back, he's been one of their best players. Right. He won that game. He won the game for them, and they needed that 2 points badly because they're fighting for their lives right now.
I'll be honest with you. Looking at the Knights against the Blackhawks, man, this looks like not a ship that's sinking, but a ship that's sunk. By all accounts, the Blackhawks are one of the worst teams in the league. Now, this could be one of two things. Either the Blackhawks can be an unlucky good team that just can't finish off games that are tough to play against, or they're just a bad team. Either way, Vegas had a hard time putting them away, and Vegas lost their last game to the Blackhawks, and they have cap trouble because
they're in big trouble.
Well, they're $14 million over the cap. They can't get anybody off until if they make the playoffs start.
I don't know what they're going to do because Eichel, he's got to be making 10, right?
10,
I think
yep.
he's making 10, and they got this guy that they try to trade, Dandanov or Dananov, whatever Russian name he is, but I believe he makes 4. And it's going to be very difficult. This guy's going to have to be a cap wizard and pray they make it to the playoffs so it doesn't matter with the cap, like kind of like what the Lightning did with Kucherov. But hey, you got to make it first to be able to have that luxury.
It's even worse though. I mean, Kucherov was what, $8 million?
Yeah, Kuch is only making 8, and look what he does. He can put up 125 points a year if he wanted to.
And this is almost 14. This is almost double. That's ridiculous.
I know. And to be honest, though, the Kuch injury was a very bad injury. And
it was.
You know what? They shut him down. Listen, we want you in the playoffs. We want you 100%. And I think Tampa made the right move with that. They weren't breaking any NHL rules doing that. They did it right. They still made the playoffs without one of their best players. And on the other hand, Vegas, they need these guys just to get into the wild card the way they're playing. So they better get their acts together soon. They gotta get going here.
What do you think it is, Matt? What do you think what's going on with Vegas other than injuries? Do you think it's a system thing? Do you think there's just too much publicity over them going up and down, up and down?
Well, you need Robin Leonard in that, definitely. I mean, they got 2 young kids kind of jumping in and out, and it's not. You can't have that down in the stretch. You need your top gun to be playing, keeping you in games. They got lucky yesterday with the Hawks. The Hawks just crapped the bed in the third period. They no business winning that game. And if you lose to the Hawks, that they don't honestly. Vegas doesn't deserve to make it just because of the injuries. And you know what they do a lot too? They sign players like to a pretty decent contract, and they'll trade them like the next year. They've done this a couple times.
Right.
If I'm a player and I'm like, hey, listen, I want to sign 3 years here, but I don't want to play one season and get traded to like Buffalo, like say like Alex Tuck. I think he's a great player, and he fit well with that Vegas team.
He did.
I just like for an incoming free agent, you think about this stuff. Like even Paul Stastny, he signed with Vegas a couple years, then they traded him the next year to the Jets.
Right.
It's like, come on, man, I signed with you guys because I want to play with you guys. If I wanted to sign with the Jets, I would have done that.
Right.
So I mean, maybe the morale in the locker room is not that great, and the trust, like even with Marc-Andre Fleury, yeah, you're gonna finish your career here, kid. We love you. It's like seems like a week later that he was on the Blackhawks. So it could be that. You never know.
Do you think that's going to hurt them in the future with signing players to Vegas?
I think all these trades they're doing now, it's gonna pay back sooner than later because they got rid of some good players like that kid on Montreal's Suzuki. They traded him for Max Pacioretty. Max is good. He's hurt a lot. He's older. Alex Tuck's a good player, a role player that you want on your team, a big guy, power forward type of guy. Then they trade it's not Stevens, it's a different kid.
Craig Smith?
No, they traded with Alex Tuck with the Jack Eichel trade. I mean, they were so crazy about getting Eichel, they gave away their top prospect. I mean, take a lesson out of the Hawks, man. If you keep trading your top picks, it's going to come back and haunt you in years. You're not going to have anything. We got 1, maybe 2 kids in the system, and they're really not that ready yet. Vegas is going to run into like 0, and they want that cup so bad. Yeah, but if look, you're barely making it to the playoffs. You're kind of declining every year, so they got to change something. Vegas
wouldn't stand a chance against the Blues right now if they went to the playoffs if they started today.
I don't even think they'd have a chance against the Flames. Obviously, I'm totally on the Flames wagon. I think that the Flames would beat them in 4, and it would be ugly every game.
Oh yeah.
And if they're the wild card team, and I think even Nashville can.
Oh yeah,
Saros can just shut them down. So it's not looking good for them, not at all.
Well, the Kaner Strome cat line continues to dominate. I believe Strome is at 10 games now, 10 goals in 10 games right now. They were dangerous the entire night. Kubalik finally scored. He had a couple. He had a couple aimed at the rafters though, but
yeah,
he finally scored, which was really nice. Toews scored. He had a really nice deflection goal, and Cat sniped in the fourth goal of the game, which was nice to take that 4-3 goal lead. But as we mentioned, Dadonov scored the game-winning goal, and it was a pretty entertaining game. The first two periods, it was not slow, but it was kind of just going the Blackhawks' way. And then in the third period, it started off all Vegas, and then it went back and forth for a bit. Them trading goals back and forth. So that was cool. But we got some NHL news. After watching the Flames light up the Oilers, Matt has jumped on the Flames bandwagon. It's hard to cheer for the Central team, and everybody out west in the Pacific, except for the Flames, is playing average or awful. That's a quote from Matt, which I appreciate. I like that. We were talking to
Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler, and
he
Mitzi
really
Twiggs.
told me. Yeah.
Just watching them over the season, it was like we were talking about them last year that they're going to be winning games 2-1. They'd probably be ugly games and probably squeak into the playoffs. And you know what? They haven't been ugly games. They've just been annihilating other teams. Just a force to be reckoned with. It's pretty interesting. They beat the Oilers 9-5.
9-5.
Incredible,
and
man.
The Flames have 4 30-goal scorers.
Wow.
Did the Blackhawks in 2010 have 3? I know we had Sharpie. I believe I don't know if Jose even hit 30. I know Kane.
He was hurt half the season, so I think he had like 20 or 25.
So it was Kaner and Sharpie probably that hit 30.
I think Toews had 30 too.
He might have. I'm gonna look that up, but that's incredible to me. A Daryl Sutter system,
right?
Four guys with 30 goals. And one guy is making $2 million at Mangiapane.
Right.
Just what a gem. I mean, and then they bring in Tyler Toffoli. I mean, that's just.
They brought him in early, too.
How can you not like the team? I mean, I like Johnny Hockey. Like, I know Tyler called him like a Panarin-like player. I disagree. With respect, I think he is more like a Kaner type of guy. And I did. I'm checking Toews. You are correct. He did have 32 goals in 2010, 76 points. That was one of his best seasons.
Yeah,
and that's the year we won the cup.
Yeah.
So
everybody was firing that year.
Yeah.
So, like I mentioned, actually in the last podcast, the Blackhawks can take a lot of cues from the Flames, just how they've drafted, what they've done over the past few years. Yeah, they had some tough years, but they drafted really well. Matthew Tkachuk I believe is in his 4th season, so he's hitting his stride, and I think that's what it takes, man. I think when these young kids come into the league, I think it takes them about 4 seasons just for their bodies to get into this, into the rigors of the NHL, really, for them to develop, so that they can handle the game. I think the Calgary Flames are due to go pretty far this year, man, because they're built for the regular season, and man, with a coach like Sutter, they're built to go far in the playoffs. So look out for the Flames.
Yeah, we don't give their goalie enough credit. Mark.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he's got
great.
9 shutouts this year.
How many?
And 9.
Oh my gosh.
And he's been, he's been around. I know he was drafted with the Panthers. I know he ended up getting traded for Lou. Ended up with the Canucks. He was there for a couple seasons, and then. Maybe they felt comfortable letting him walk over to Calgary because they had Thatcher Demko in the system and everything, but he's really found his home, and he found a coach that preaches defense and take care of your own end, and that's going to help a goalie's numbers every time. So, yeah, man, it's going to be interesting, but for the West, I am going with the Flames. I am on the wagon.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I like the Flames, man. I don't think Colorado is going to do it this year. They're a good team. I just don't see it though. The Blues, I think, are a sneaky team, a tough team to play against, a team I wouldn't want to play against. I think Nashville and the Blues, man, that would be probably a slow but a very physical
I
series.
think it would go 7.
Yeah, I think so
I think
too.
it would. It would depend on Saros having a bad game or not, but I think I'd give the edge to Nashville with the goaltending right now. But the Blues can score. They could play defense. They could play that style. But I think it would go 7, and I just don't know yet. It's too hard to pick right now.
So we have a few fan questions today that we're going to put out there. We got 3 of them that we're gonna do today. So if you are listening and you want to throw in some fan questions, be sure to get us on Twitter at Shy Tomahawk. We'll put them in here, and we'll try to notify you when we do them. So essentially, who do you think will look to re-sign, and what cap and term do you think? I think that this is aimed towards possibly Toews, Kane, and Debrincat, because they can sign new contracts they can extend,
1st.
I should say. They can extend this summer. So do you want me to go first on this, Matt, or do you want to do this one first?
You go ahead. I'll follow up with you.
All right, I'll go Toews. I think after everything that he said and after his comments, a lot of people think that he's looking to head out. I don't think that he's going to do that. I think that he's got it good in Chicago, especially if they give him an opportunity to stay. I don't think he's going to be making $10 million the next. As a matter of fact, I know positively he's not going to be making $10 million on his next contract. But I think anywhere between 4.5 and 6. 4.5 if he's looking to take a team-friendly deal. 6 if we're still paying for previous cups, would be around the cap hit for Toews, which essentially is, maybe 5. Even 5 would be good. And I think that he has value on the defensive side of the puck with some offensive upside if he can find that part of his game. His health is a big thing, so we have to take that into consideration. Kane are still playing at an elite level. In all honesty, I think that Kane can still demand 8 to 8.5 a year at the clip that he's still scoring at. 3-year deal for both of them. But I think that Kane might take between 6 to 7.5 million. I still think that even set at 7.5, that's a team-friendly deal for Patrick Kane. As far as Debrincat, it's time for the money truck to come in. I think Debrincat's going to make between 9 and 10 million. We're looking at a guy who scored 30 goals multiple times, and he scored 40 once. He's on pace to hit 40 again this year. I mean, if he even goes on a tear, he could still possibly hit 50. So with 19 or 18 games left. So those are my predictions for the Cat, Taser, and Kaner. I think that Toews would want to stick around. The Blackhawks just built that new facility at Fifth Third. They've got great facilities there. The Blackhawks take care of him, and the facilities at the United Center are really good too. And these are things to take into consideration. How well are your accommodations at where you're at right now? So what do you think, Matt?
Well, I don't think that Kane and Toews are going to sign in the summer. I think they're going to let them finish their contracts out. I don't think they will be traded at the deadline. It's up to them. I don't see Kaner leaving. All indications point to he wants to be here. He's even said, "I want to be here for the rebuild." I think Debrincat's going to sign July 1st, like you said, somewhere the max deal, probably an 8-year deal, 10 mil probably. I'd be perfectly okay with that. That's your next. What do you say, like a Dylan Larkin type of guy, young guy, and I would throw the C on him, quite honestly. I think it's time to pass the torch, and I would love Toews to be in the locker room with him while he's captain. Kind of reminds me of a Mike Modano, Brendan Morrow type of thing. I know they stripped Modano. He was the captain for many years with the Stars, and they saw Brendan Morrow coming up, and they wanted him to be the next guy, and Modano had an A, and I think that's huge for a young captain, having a guy like that who's been the captain all of his career, and just to be right next to him in the locker room just to help him out and show him the way. But I definitely think 8 years, $10 million. I hope Davidson would be an idiot to let a 40 goal scorer go. I mean, he's definitely going to get 40 this year. He's at 37. Last year was 32. 2019 he got 18. It was kind of a rough year for him, but that's still decent for a young kid. And his second year 41 and his rookie year 28. So This guy's a goal scorer.
Yeah.
You have to pay him. Goal scorers don't come along much. When you have one, you have to take care of him. Look at Austin Matthews. They drafted this guy. He's hitting 50. He could possibly hit 60 one day. You have to keep him. This is a guy you build the team around. But going to the end of the season, I think Kaner will sign it like in the summer of next year. Toews, man, I don't know. It just sounds like he's not happy. I could see him testing free agency. Would I like to see him come back? Absolutely, for cheap. I think you were kind of being generous, throwing out 6. I think Toews is more at the 4 range.
Yeah.
But, Kane and Toews have done everything together. They've always done the same money, same term. So maybe we'll see that. The Hawks would be very lucky if Kaner were to take a huge discount like that. But like you said, he is still putting up numbers, and he's quite deserving of 7 to 8 million.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like he's scoring 20 and getting 20 assists. This guy is getting like 50 to 60 assists still.
Right.
And that's absolutely huge for a rebuilding team to have a star like this still.
Now that I think about it, I mean, they could both come in and say, hey, we'll take 5 apiece.
That's a steal.
They're just coming off of, twin $84 million contracts, $36 million before that. These guys have cleared about, over $100 million so far each. So I don't think that, that money would be a thing for them. If Davidson came up and said, hey, look, guys, we're going to put a statue of you guys out front. Your jerseys are going up into the rafters. You guys are legends here. You guys want to win. I need more cap space. What kind of deal can we make out? Can we do $5 million a piece? If you guys take $5 million, I can, try to do something here to build this team into something that you guys can compete, going into your, retirement years. Because 5 and 5, man, that would be a sweet deal.
If five for 3 years, $15 million a piece, I think that's a steal.
Right.
They're going to put fans in the stands still. The older guys that grew up with Kane and Toews are still going to go and want to watch them.
Right.
Probably going to want to watch Kane get his 500th goal because that's a big milestone.
Right.
Toews is I believe he's close to 1,000 points, 1,000 games played. And like guys like us will appreciate that. That's a great career. I would go and, watch those guys still. And I think that'd be a fair deal. I agree.
Do you think Strome gets a new deal? If so, what cap and term? So Strome, man, here's the thing. What Strome are we getting? Are we getting Strome that we've had? There's been 2 Dylan Stromes that have played here. There's been a Dylan Strome that has played really well with Alex Debrincat and has put up some points, won some faceoffs, and has played well. And then there's a Dylan Strome that does not play well with Alex Debrincat and does not play well with any other player on the team. So as of late, I think that Dylan Strome does have a place on this team. I wouldn't have said that at the beginning of the season. I think it depends on how much money that he wants. If he wants anything over 3 to 3.5 million, absolutely not. As of right now, I don't think that he's worth 3.5 million. If he has played like he does right now through the course of his contract, absolutely. Even if he wanted 5 million, if he's playing the way that he is right now through the course of his contract, I would say absolutely we can give him 5 million. 6 million would be an overpayment. But considering he's so up and down, I wouldn't really want to commit to him. I'd want to see who is available at center because we do need a center. But also, I want to take a look at what's going on in the locker room. Is this a guy that he makes the team play better? Is he a guy that's like a glue guy that when he's in the locker room, spirits are up, guys like him? Or is he one of those guys where, he's kind of negligible, because that stuff makes a big difference. What do you think, Matt?
Like you said, which Strome are we getting? Are we getting last year's Strome where he would score every 10 games and get scratched, come back and score 3, get scratched again. There's a lot of inconsistency. I know he was terrible under Colleton. The whole team was. And I know he's thriving under King right now. He's been good. And you know what? If you're going to keep the guy, he obviously has really good chemistry with Patrick Kane and Alex Debrincat. Those are our 2 best players on the team. But there's going to be times where he's going to be cold, and then they're going to have to put him somewhere else. So then what? Is he going to be bad again? Because there's a track record here of him not playing well with other types of players.
Right.
So I think if we are going to give him a deal, I would match the term of Patrick Kane. So say Patrick Kane signs a 3-year deal and he's done, then Dylan Strome's going to be done. And hopefully we got some young kids like, Lucas Reichel coming up and our next wave of draft picks coming up. And he's not needed because he's going to be older. But I definitely would not go over $5 million. Now, I don't even feel comfortable going over $4 million, quite honestly.
Right.
For just half the season, he's been good. Not even half, just this last quarter, if you want to even call it.
20 games.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe 3 years, $4 million. If who knows, he might even want to. I believe he's a restricted free agent still.
Wow.
So we still own his rights. I think. Don't quote me on that. But I wouldn't go any longer like a Debrincat type of deal. I wouldn't say, hey, $4 million each for 8 years, because that's not going to work. So that's what I would do. That's a good question by Blake, because it's a thinker.
It is, because it's like, okay, you've been in the league a few years already, and it is, you should, get that maybe $4 million, get that $500K bump to $4 million. I think that would be fair. But I think 3 years would be the term. 4-3 is the term that I would go on that. So here's another good one, another thinker, and I'm sure this is going to be a divisive one. What will Doc's next deal look like?
$8 million a year. Hey, I'm looking at Jack Hughes' contract.
Man,
why not me?
Bring this guy up.
Well, hey, same draft class.
Matt, it's like, here's the thing. I think that Doc has potential. I think that he can play in this league. The problem is that I think that his development was so mishandled that he's like a guy, kind of like Anakin Skywalker, who's on the light and the dark side, back and forth. It's like he just can't put it all together yet. And that could be because of his age. I mean, he is 21 years old, man. How many guys hit 24 and then they're finally the player that they need to be, As far as his contract is concerned, here's the thing. What is he worth? Personally, if we're getting Brandon Hagel for 1.5, I would say Doc would be between the 1.5-2 million range. Taking where he was drafted in consideration, he might be getting 3.5. And this is a problem. This is a problem that we have in this league, is that guys are getting paid, and this is in any league too. It happens in the NFL as well. Guys are getting paid for their draft position and not for what they've done in their league. And as far as I'm concerned, I think Doc is worth 1.5 to 2 million. But I think that because he was a high draft pick, he might be more likely to get 3 million. What do you think? What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, you know what? The Hawks, you're right. They did absolutely rush him up, and they kind of hurt his confidence. If anything, if I'm Davidson and you still believe in this guy, I would say, hey, listen, kid, I want you to give me another 3-year bridge deal, kind of like your entry contract. I'm going to give you $2 million a year for 3 years. I want you to prove yourself these 3 years. I want you to start putting 20 goals in the net every year, and I want you to at least get 60 points. That is your goal. This is the type of player we thought you were going to be. And we rushed you because we were desperate. We had nothing else. We threw you into the fire, and it didn't benefit us, and it didn't benefit you. So do the right thing. There's still a lot of promise with him. I see him skate out there. He makes some excellent moves. He's got good vision. He can pass. Definitely going to be a good hockey player. But make it right. Give him 3 years. Give him kind of like a redo entry level, but you're going to obviously pay him more. He might have a bigger role, but that's probably what I would do.
Well, yeah, 3 years in the league, up to this point, I honestly believe you play in the league, you deserve to get your bumps up as you as you go up. I don't think any guy who's been in the league for 10 years should be making less than 4 to 5 million a year.
And you'll make them comfortable. You give them a couple years that you like, hey, these guys believe in me. They're giving me 3 more years. These 1-year deals, I think that hurts players. I really do.
Too.
I mean, unless you're really good, like we're gonna give you a bridge deal 1 year just to see if it was a fluke or not. Then the next year it's always like 2 million jumps to like 11 or not 12 million. He's not that type of guy. But if you give him like some security, that might make him play better in his head. Like, hey, I'm not going anywhere. It's time to buckle down and get going here.
Right. So moving on to a question from the brush line, Beaver Ash line,
the legend.
What do you think the goalie situation will look like going into next season? Lanks is in a position to be a starter, but will the org focus on grooming futures or look for another established tendy to compete / insert as a starter? So I think that it's really going to be determined on how well Lanks plays to the end of the season. I don't think that this guy has gotten a very fair shake this season. He was supposed to be kind of like a 1B starter, and he hasn't been. He's been more of a bench warmer than anything, than a guy who gets an opportunity to come in and play, maybe once a week, and he hasn't had an opportunity. He got hurt in one game that he played, and he played excellent in that game. So he's still kind of dealing with somewhat of a wrist injury, which is important for goalies to have, man. Strong wrist. And I think that Lankinen will be on I think it's definitely determined on how he plays towards the end of the season and how good of a camp that he has. I think that it's in the Blackhawks' best interest to find the best goaltender that they can, whether it be a backup or someone to kind of give Lankinen some competition, because I think that's good to have some healthy competition between your two starting goalies. And then, but at the same time, I want them to be looking for who's next, who's coming up. Is there, a UC Soros in the wild out there that they can find? Then, yeah, I mean, I want that guy. So I'm not really married to anything right now, but I think Lankinen should get his opportunity, but he has a lot to work on.
Yeah, that's well said. I think last night or last afternoon, that's not good enough to be a starting goalie. You cannot give up 2 softies in one period like that. I know we're not going anywhere. We're not in the playoff hunt or anything, but like this is the time to work on your game, and those can't go in. Last year, like you said, the competition, if you want to call it, for the starting job, he ran away with that. He destroyed Delia. He destroyed Subban. He was walking away with that thing. And you know what? That was good for him. But when they brought in Fleury, it definitely hurt him. And Coach King, he didn't play Lankinen as much because, he's trying to keep his job too. We've talked about this before. He wants the best goalie in, as much as he can. He's trying to get a job next year. So Fleury obviously gave him a better chance to win every night. But what I would do with this guy, I would probably, I'd probably give him a 2-year deal, very cheap. Say, hey, listen, we're rebuilding. We like what we've seen from you, but we need more out of you. So, I mean, you're going to have some competition next year. I don't know if they're going to bring up Soderblom. I don't think he was ready when we last, who did he play last game? He might have played the Flames, I want to say, and that's a very good team. But yeah, this is another tough question. After watching that third period, I was like ready to move on from this guy. I don't think he'll be here during the rebuild years when we're finally retooled and ready to compete for the Stanley Cup again. But I think he could be a decent 1B right now. So that's what I got on him.
I think Soderblom needs at least one full season in Rockford as the number 1.
Well, he's definitely getting that now that Delia has been named the backup for the next 20 something games going into the playoffs. That's huge.
Right.
And like you said, next year maybe he'll take the reins and play about 50 games max.
Deep dive. If you are building a franchise and you get one defenseman in the league currently, who are you taking? Any current D-man. Now, is this like today or is this like, okay.
Right now, today.
From the list that we've got here, we named a few defensemen. Okay.
Mine is not on there.
Okay. Got Adam Fox, got Victor Hedman, Cale Makar, Seth Jones, Darnell Nurse, and Roman Josi. Okay. Now, if I were to take a defenseman today, I think that I would, you know what, man?
You want me to go first?
No. I'm going to go with Victor Hedman, man. I've always been high on him. I just think that the guy shows up in every game, whether it's Stanley Cup Finals or whether it's whether it's a regular season game on a Tuesday night in January. I think the guy shows up. I'm going to go with Victor Hedman.
Yes, I watched him today play against the Islanders, and God.
So really quickly, is this so? I'm building out the franchise today, right? And
yeah.
we're not playing for like the Stanley Cup Finals. This is just like day
you're
one.
building. Mike got his own team in a new city, and he gets to take one defenseman to start his team.
To build the team, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to have to take that back. I am
because of the age.
Because of the age. That's
yes.
right. I mean, I was thinking,
I should have clarified this better.
I was thinking that, hey, I'm building a team to win the Stanley Cup like right now.
Okay. I can see if you're like Vegas, if you want to just grab them right away.
Yeah. But if I am building a team from scratch and we're looking to build something, I'm going to have to go to Detroit and take Mo Seider.
So you picked mine too. and that is why I didn't put him on the list, because I didn't want you to think about it, but you got it. But
I'm doing it because of age.
Absolutely. And this kid, I've just every night I watch clips of all the goals and the hits, and this kid is like a highlight reel. The way he skates, the way he hits, he could pass, he plays defense. And just every time I watch this kid, I'm like, God, I hope Davidson is finding like a gem like this in this draft. I hope he's got scouts all over the world, because this is like the type of guy that we need.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I like the way he plays defense. I think that he's got a lot of offensive upside, but defense is. Playing in the defensive zone is something that I really look for. And I look for skating ability in a defenseman, because this is just me. I think a defenseman should be one of the best skaters on the ice, because a lot of times they need to get out of trouble in small areas, and he can do that. I really like him. Number 2, I would, even right now today, I would take Hedman, but I would go Mo and Hedman.
Yeah,
sure.
Victor Hedman, I watched the game today. It was the Lightning versus the New York Islanders. My Stanley Cup picks. Yikes. Dude, Tampa was skating circles around this team. Hedman, I think he has 18 goals this year. And that's a defenseman, man. Right. I know Cale Makar's got a lot of goals, but I mean, that's so impressive. You don't see that many defensemen getting over 15, and this guy's about to hit 20. He could even hit 25 the way he's playing. He's a beast. But I'm with you with Mo Seider. The Red Wings lucked out again, and it's unbelievable that they got a kid like that. They got throttled today, though, like 11-2 against the Penguins.
What?
Yeah, 11-2. I think Dylan Larkin scored a goal because my fantasy ESPN thingy went off, and I'm like, oh wow, you're losing 11-2. Good, thanks for getting me a goal. What are you, like a -6 today? Just terrible.
Yeah, Makar's got 24 goals on the season.
That's insane too. But like Tyler said, this guy could easily be a center on most teams the way he plays. But good luck in the playoffs, because dude, that game does not work. We've seen it. It doesn't work. Brian Campbell wasn't skating circles through people.
No.
In the playoffs,
no.
He would get wrecked.
Right.
So it's going to be a lot different in the playoffs for the Avalanche. That's for sure.
To Makar's credit, he's got 49 assists as well. So
there's no doubt he's a great talent, but it's a totally different game.
Right. So hey man, you got anything else? Those were fun at the end there.
We got to do a deep dive at the end each time.
Yeah. I think we're gonna start doing that.
Next episode, I got one for coaching. If we could steal one coach, that's what we'll do. Maybe if you're listening right now, you could shoot us some ideas. But you know what? I did see a something that you would be very interested in the other day. I think it was the 35th anniversary of the brawl between the Red Wings and the Avalanche.
Wow.
In the 90s. Yeah, I remember being a young kid watching ESPN in my dad's buddy's basement, and I just see Patrick Roy skating, full speed to the red line, meeting Mike Vernon, and it was just a war. Darren McCarty was on, Claude Lemieux, one of the dirtiest players of all time, and dude, it's flying by, man. I was a kid when that happened, and I know you were a couple years ahead of me, but just insane. Yeah. They need to make a 30 for 30 on that rivalry. That'll be like the best hockey documentary ever.
Yeah, I remember. I just happened to, because the Hawks weren't on TV because Dollar Bill never had them on TV. So I was like, all right, I'll throw on the Colorado versus Red Wings game, and these guys were. I couldn't believe it. I watched it live. It was incredible.
Yeah, I even Peter Forsberg was going at it.
Right.
And he's a skill guy. He's not a fighter. And then all the other guys are going. Adam Foote was in there for the Avalanche. He was another tough defenseman. But it made me laugh when Patrick Roy doing his thing. Like he's he comes across as the head case, and he's doing his thing. He's chirping at Vernon, and Vernon's just throwing punches to his mouth. And what a great brawl.
Yeah, I know. No kidding. Well, all right, everybody. That's what we got for you tonight. We're going to do a poll later on in the week, doing on our deep dive. And we'll do the results on our next podcast and let you guys know what we get. So we'll catch you on the next one. We'll see you. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.